Alright, hey guys, it's been a little while, but I have another video for you today. So I'll be showing you the redstone right now. You should have just seen the gameplay, and we'll go over each and every part. I'll tell you what they do, how they do it, and how it implemented the game, and the choices I made along the way to just make the whole game work and have it all fit together nicely. So yeah. Alright, we'll start off here with the TNT cannons. This is obviously the main driving force of the minigame. So the design I did for this is pretty straightforward. You have your TNT going to a loading chamber, and it just goes back along a piston tape, just all the way back down here to where it is loaded up by a cobble generator at the back. And there are 50 shots of TNT in each cannon, and there are 6 cannons here, 3 on top, 3 on bottom. So let's go into each individual part. So first off, you'll notice there are the 3 TNT right here. Those are the that's the charge, and that'll send the projectile TNT off onto the platform way back there. And the top line of TNT, the single line, is the projectile. So when it is fired, this button will activate. It will send a short pulse down to this redstone line, which will activate which will have these pistons push the TNT up against some powered blocks right here. That's what these levers are for. So that'll activate the TNT, and they'll fall into this waterway right here, and then they'll be stopped just right at the bottom on top of that piece of glass. So they'll be activated, they'll be sitting there for a little bit, and then after a short delay, that's these repeaters right here, another short pulse will be sent to the top part, to the top line of TNT, and that'll push one of these blocks down to where it'll be activated by this black block here. And there is a lever connected to that black block. So sorry about that. So the charged TNT will have been sitting there for about a second or two, and then the top TNT will come down, be activated, and land on the pressure, on the, not the pressure plate, the half slab. So at that time, the charged TNT will explode, sending the projectile TNT way off over here and onto the platform where it will explode. That's pretty much the TNT cannons. The bottom ones are a slightly different design, using the fence gate and pressure plate design instead of the half slab. These ones will go farther, but they'll also be lower. So that's how I got these to work. So the top ones, this top layer of TNT cannons, they'll go to the nearest spots for TNT to land. So these 3 spaces is where the top cannons will land, and the bottom spaces, since they go farther but lower, will land in these back 3 spaces. So let's go back into the loading mechanism. So when you press the button, it sends the short pulses, and then after each piston has gone, after 3 ticks, you'll see right there, so the first one goes, then 3 ticks later, the next piston will go and keep the piston tape moving forward. And why is it 3 ticks, even with a 1-tick monostable circuit? Technically, it should work with 1 tick, so why is there 3? Well, it's pretty much extra precaution, and not for lack of testing, mind you. I did multiple tests on this, and I found 3 ticks to be the perfect number, where it's not taking too long at all, but where it won't mess up and explode. because now that 1.3, or in 1.3, since everything is running server code, the delays can really be messed up with pistons. So if your computer slows down, pistons will mess up. They won't fire properly at the correct time just because it's server code. I don't know. So if it was 2 or less, so if it's anything less than 3, then sometimes they won't fire, and that'll make a TNT buildup, and it'll end up blowing up everything. So that's why there's 3 for each. And then back here, just the cobblestone generators. Pretty simple cobblestone generator for the projectile TNT line, just simple stuff. And then for the charge TNT line, the triple, it's just those same cobble generators, like so, but there's 3 of them, and they activate. Oh crap! It doesn't work with a full pulse. It has to come from there. So I apologize. It actually does work. It'll push each 3 of them up and fill it up. So it works really well. And yeah, that's the TNT cannons. Okay, next redstone thing is the timer randomizers. These are very important to the minigame. If you didn't notice, when I was playing the game, every single TNT shot is randomized. It will never come out the same. These randomizers take care of that. There are 6 randomizers, 1 for each TNT cannon, and they do an interesting kind of randomization. Instead of coming out with a random input or binary input, they randomize the amount of time before they reset. So I'll explain. First off, you have your activation line. That's just for the start of the game. It begins the randomizer loop. So it'll activate, and these dispensers will shoot out blocks, and they may or may not land on these pressure plates. And these pressure plates are fed into RS NOR latches. So this one will go first, and then this one, and then this one. And since there can only be one output, the first one to land on a pressure plate will be the output that's activated here. So there's just a simple gate system to stop the next one from being activated if one has already been activated before it. And then based on what output the RS NOR latch randomizer gives, it'll send a constant signal to these pistons here, and then say if the last one activated, this one right here, then it would bring this piston line up and allow the signal to go down here instead of continuing and adding a longer delay. So the last one is the very rare one, is the rarest of them all, because this is a skewed randomizer, I should say. It's rare, but it is a very short time, so the TNT cannons would be firing very quickly, since it's only just this delay, and then it comes down and resets. Yeah, so whichever one is activated, it'll bring that piston up, and it'll go down and reset and send a signal to activate TNT. And if none of them catch, then it'll just go off at the end. So after the signal is sent to the TNT, it also sends just a redstone line this way, which will reset the RS NOR latches just by activating this here. And then after a delay, it'll restart the randomizer again. And that's how it works for all 6 of them. They're just connected independently. And yeah, that's it for that. Okay, next item of business is the sand droppers. These were interesting to build. I've never really built something like this before. That said, it's not complicated at all. So pretty much all that needed to happen here, and all that does happen here, is you press the button once, it'll send a pulse to this sand block, which will activate the first load of sand. It'll just update the blocks so they all fall down. And then the next time the button is pressed, it'll activate the next one up. And then next time, next one. So it's just sequential and it just goes all the way to the top. There are 15 in each one of these. So I'll show you how it works. First off, sends a short pulse, the 2-tick pulse, out of this monostable. That way it doesn't activate more than one at a time. So it'll go in here, it'll activate this piston, and that'll push this block over. So two things will happen there. Since it will change from glass to wool, the redstone torch on the bottom will feed its redstone line through the wool, and then onto this redstone, which will activate the sand and allow it to drop. And then the next thing it does is, since there will be a wool block there instead of a glass block, this redstone torch will be turned off because of this redstone's influence. So that'll switch all these redstone torches around until it gets to right here, and that will activate this this piston. So this piston will be pushed up, and by that time the short redstone line will have dissipated, so nothing will happen to the second one, but there will just be a block there now. And then the second time you push it, the exact same thing will happen. Since the redstone line will come through, it'll power through this block and activate the piston just like it did on the bottom one. And yeah, that's how the sand droppers work. They just need to update and they'll fall. And if you're wondering how I made the sand work like this without it falling, I just MC edited it into place, and yeah, that's how you do it. Okay, next thing we have is the spider spawners. That's this convoluted thing here. So what I wanted to happen with the spider spawners is they would activate slowly at first, and then over time they would spawn faster and faster, and out of a random hole each time. So let's start off with the random hole each time. This thing is just going around, activating a different line, and you'll see the spiders, all the timers activate to this line, and then it'll go to a random hole based on whichever line is activated. And I'm not very proud of that randomizer, but it seemed like the most even way to do things, because those randomizers are skewed, so it wouldn't work very well for this. The next thing I want to do, or the next thing, is that it had to gradually increase with time. So the way I did that was, you'll see this is the line that activates. So every time a TNT goes off, it'll send a pulse down this line. So this pulse will go to all three of these, but only the first one is active right now. It'll go into a monostable circuit, which will activate this counter. Now this counter has 2 and 3, so after 2 of these activate, one of these will activate, and then next 2, another one. So 2 times 3, that's 6. So after every 6 TNT shots, it will send a pulse down here and spawn some spiders. Now keep in mind that since shots can happen at the exact same time, it won't be exactly 6, but the time is consistent overall. So it sends a pulse down to a random hole, but it also sends a pulse over here to this counter. Now this counter is 8 long, so after 8 spider spawns have been made, after this thing has been completely filled, then it'll reset and send a pulse up here to this piston. So what this piston will do, we'll just change one of these. So if we activate it once, then you'll notice that the second one activated, and the first one is now up. So just a simple piston line right here. Since this game can only be used once, this was appropriate. Normally I would never do this in any other minigame, but since it's a one-time minigame, it works well. So now the second one is activated. It does the same monostable circuit into a counter, except this time this one only has 5 before it sends a pulse down to the random hole, and it also sends a pulse, just like the first one did, to this 8 counter. So after 8 of those spiders haven't spawned again, it'll move one more time, and then the third one will be activated. And this one is the shortest of all. It's 2 times 2, which is 4. So every 4 TNT shots, a spider will spawn into a random hole. And then that's as far as it goes. It'll still send a signal to the 8 counter, but it won't matter since this piston won't do anything more. And so yeah, that's pretty much most of the game. I'm going to talk about the string buying system in a different video because I think it deserves its own. It's a really cool idea that I think you guys will like. You might be able to get a gist of it here. Just hooked it up to counters for separate reasons. And yeah, that's pretty much the redstone. If you're wondering what the purple line is, that's just the starting button that you press when you go into the arena, and that starts everything up. And yeah, that's the redstone. Almost forgot. This red thing right here. So there are 2 ways to win the game. You can either, 1, outlast it until it blows itself up, because once the cobble gets all the way down, all 50 TNT, it'll mess up the other TNT lines and it'll blow up. Or if you call down 20 of these sand walls, and it has to be 20, then it'll send a pulse to these TNT right here, and they'll drop and blow it up that way too. So there's 2 different ways to win. You're more likely, actually I don't know which one you're more likely to get, but yeah. Alright, so that's the redstone for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. You can download this map on Planet Minecraft, and yeah, see you guys next time.